Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelsey. I am a wife and a mom of 3 kids, ages 6, almost 4, and 1.5, and a soon-to-be mom of 4. My husband and I found out recently that we are expecting baby number 4 in November. So it has been a little while and I apologize. I think my last update that I did was around 6 weeks. I'm currently 9 weeks pregnant right now. But this video, I'm just gonna focus on weeks 7 and 8 of pregnancy. So let's just jump right in. I feel like when I hit 7 weeks pregnant, I really kind of took off as far as pregnancy symptoms are concerned. I know a lot of people always talk about how like the 6-week mark is when the symptoms really hit. For me, at 6 weeks pregnant, I definitely wasn't feeling great, but I wasn't feeling terrible. So I thought, oh yeah, this is great. I'm just gonna sail right through my first trimester. And then 7 weeks hit. And let me tell you, it was like a whole different ball game when I hit 7 weeks. Probably my biggest complaint, and I say complaint lightly because I'm so thankful and grateful to be pregnant, and I never want to make it seem like I am not happy and totally over the moon to be pregnant. It's worth every single negative side effect times a million. So I just want to make that clear. But my biggest complaint, really week 7 up till right now, is just fatigue. When I say fatigue, I'm talking like literal soul crushing, feel like you cannot move your body at all fatigue. I'm not surprised. I've had this with all of my pregnancies. Like I said, this is my 4th one, so I'm not new to this game, but it's easy to forget exactly how debilitating it is until you're living it, and I've definitely been struggling. As a mom of 3 kids now, I've got a lot of stuff to keep up with, and you know, our day-to-day life is just constantly busy. I'm always on the move, always on the go. And so it's been a little bit of a struggle, but I've just been trying to really give myself grace. I've been going to bed a lot earlier than I normally would and sleeping like probably at least 8 hours a night, which is a lot for me. I'm kind of normally a person that functions on like 6 to maybe 7 hours on a good night of sleep. So I've been getting at least a solid extra hour of sleep at night. To be honest, my husband is amazing and has really picked up the slack, which I'm so appreciative of. But there's a lot of nights where I get my kids to sleep and come downstairs at probably 8 o'clock and just totally crash on the couch. And then he wakes me up a couple hours later when he's ready to go to bed, and I just kind of trudge on up to bed. So some nights I'm sleeping way more than 8 hours if you include that time, but I'm just trying to give myself grace. Remember that I'm growing a tiny human and that I need to just keep myself rested and healthy so that I can grow the healthiest baby possible. I'm still struggling with crazy food aversions that I've talked about in my other videos. What they are kind of varies by the day. I just have to kind of eat what sounds good at the time, but I'm still really struggling with meat and vegetables. There's not a lot of that I can find that sounds remotely appetizing and doesn't make me feel sick just thinking about it. So that has definitely been a struggle. I'm still having lots of cravings, but once again, they're like very fleeting and just, I might crave something 1 minute and then an hour later I'm craving something totally different. The only really consistent craving that I'm still having is just onion rings from Burger King with the zesty sauce. And I can't even believe I'm saying that. It's like disgusting because normally I could take or leave something like that, but for some reason this pregnancy, that is just really doing it for me. On some days I definitely notice a lot more heartburn. I've mentioned in previous videos as well that that's something that I always have issues with during pregnancy, but overall it's still pretty manageable. So I'm just kind of taking it day by day. Some days I hardly have heartburn at all. Other nights, especially in the nights, is when it gets the worst. I'll notice myself kind of coughing because of all the irritation. in my throat from the heartburn. So I know it's just gonna get worse, and I'm just taking it day to day, but right now it's manageable. Just one other thing that I have definitely had this week is a lot more around ligament pain. I'm just back to feeling like every time I move at all in the slightest bit, or if I cough or do anything like that, I can definitely feel those ligaments pulling in my stomach. I had a doctor's appointment at 7 weeks and 2 days. That was my first doctor's appointment for this pregnancy. They did an ultrasound, which was amazing. It was so reassuring to be able to see a tiny little heartbeat. It was a transvaginal ultrasound because it was so early. And as soon as she put the wand in, I could immediately see the little flicker on the screen of the baby's heartbeat. And that is just the most amazing feeling. I was talking to my doctor about it, and I was telling him, like, even though this is my 4th pregnancy and I've had so many ultrasounds throughout my previous pregnancies, there's just nothing that compares to seeing that little heartbeat on the screen. Like, it's still so special, and it just never gets old. They did measure to see how the baby was measuring. So I thought by my calculations that I was 7 weeks and 2 days. The measurement came out to 7 weeks and 1 day. So basically measuring right on track with what I thought. One kind of interesting thing to note from my ultrasound too that just kind of fascinated me is that my doctor, when they were looking around and he saw my ovaries, he said that my ovaries looked horrible from my PCOS. He said there was cysts all over them, and he actually seemed fairly surprised that they looked that bad, and that we were able to get pregnant as easily as we did. So I'm feeling so blessed and thankful for that, because I know there's so many women with PCOS that struggle so much more than we did, the little bit that we struggled with our first to get pregnant. And that's definitely not something that I take for granted. And it just makes me feel even more like this little baby is just meant to be here and meant to be a part of our family. Unfortunately, my husband was not able to come to my appointment this time. I think the doctor's office actually would have let him in. I wasn't sure if they would, but it sounds like as long as you're over 16, they will let you have a family member with you, or friend or support person. But just the way that the timing worked out, we would have had to find somebody else to take our kids to school, and it just was easier for him to take them and for me to go to the appointment. But I did get to FaceTime him, so he got to watch everything and was kind of like in the appointment with me, even though he wasn't actually there. Probably the biggest thing that I discussed with my doctor at this appointment, outside of just getting the ultrasound, is the COVID vaccine. I think I'm going to make a completely separate video on the COVID vaccine, because I feel like there's just so much to talk about, and it's such a kind of controversial issue during pregnancy, especially. Like, it's controversial in general, but especially during pregnancy. So I think I might make a separate video just kind of like with my thought process about the COVID vaccine, and kind of some more information about the conversations I've had with various people that I've talked to about it, including my doctor. So let me know if you're interested in seeing that, but I think I probably will, if I have interest, record that sometime soon. And I guess I'll just leave it at that for now, but more on that to come. During my appointment, they also drew my blood to recheck my progesterone levels. And I got the results a couple days later, and my progesterone had actually dropped to 16. I was definitely kind of bummed about that, not gonna lie. I was really hoping that it would be okay and that I would be able to just keep taking the progesterone once a day. But because it had dropped back down to 16, my doctor said he definitely wanted me to take the progesterone twice a day. So for the past couple weeks, I have been taking it twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, and I'm still taking it vaginally, which helps curb some of the side effects. But I think really starting to take that progesterone twice a day kind of knocked me out for a few days. It gave me such bad headaches and just made me feel absolutely exhausted, even more than I already was. But fortunately, after like maybe a few days to a week of taking it twice a day, it does seem like my body kind of adjusted a little bit better. And Now I still am obviously feeling tired and pregnant, but it's a little more manageable to cope with the twice a day progesterone. And once again, it's 100% worth it. I'd take the progesterone for as long as I had to be able to make sure that my baby was healthy. I do want to mention also that this past week I went and had a blood draw again just to make sure that my progesterone increased after increasing my dose to twice a day, and it did. It was up to 22, so that was a relief. Also, if anyone is curious, this past week when they checked my progesterone, they also checked an HCG, and it was 143,000 and some. I didn't even go back and do the math from my last one at I think 6 weeks was when it was, to see if it was doubling appropriately. I've already had an ultrasound. I've already seen a heartbeat. I know that the HCG rise slows down after a certain point in the first trimester, and so for me and my nerves, it just wasn't worth it to try to calculate out. My doctor seemed totally fine with it, so I'm just trusting that that number is fine. But I just like to share because I know some women like to compare with their own. So if anyone's interested, that's what it was. After my 7-week ultrasound, we did go ahead and tell our kids that we were pregnant, which was so exciting. I was getting so antsy to tell them. We almost told them before the ultrasound, but then I just kept getting nervous. I know problems can pop up at any time, but I just felt so much better after seeing the heartbeat, telling them. So what I did, I made a little scavenger hunt. We just hid, it was very simple. I just used a marker and a piece of construction paper, cut it up, and made like, I think either 4 or 5 clues that we hid in various places. My kids are really into like treasure hunts and stuff like that, so I knew they would like that. And then in the last clue, it told them that in order to get the surprise at the end, that they had to tell us the secret code, because they're all so into things like secret codes and passwords and stuff. And we told them that the code was the number of people in our family, and so they had to guess. And you know, our almost 4-year-old, I don't think he was really getting it. But our 6-year-old got really into it, and he's like, what do you mean? There's 5 people in our family. And then we told him like, well, maybe you have to think outside the box and stuff. And finally he guessed 6, and then we told him, yes, do you know what that means? And it took them a while to figure it out, but they finally did. We showed them the ultrasound picture, and they were definitely excited, especially our 6-year-old, because I think he's the one that really, truly understands you know, what a new baby means. Our 4-year-old was confused. He was waiting for some like tangible prize, so I think he was actually a little bit disappointed that there wasn't like slime or something, candy at the end. But he was happy too when we explained. And obviously our 1.5-year-old, she has no idea. She was just along for the ride. But yeah, I'm so happy to have told them. It's been really good. We also told my in-laws and my aunt and my grandparents. I told a few of my coworkers at work. Everyone has just been so happy for us. So I'm really grateful for that. I think that's about all for weeks 7 and 8. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please say hello in the comments. Tell me how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions for me, or any topics that you'd like me to cover, and just introduce yourself. Let me know where you're at in your journey. I would really love to connect with all of you. If you're interested in following the rest of my journey, please think about subscribing. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.